feeling about the passing of Nelson Mandela?
Well, let me just state the obvious. Nelson Mandela was a larger-than-life figure, uh, just an awesome giant of a human being that was gifted to us by the powers that be. Just imagine enduring what he endured and coming out and forgiving millions of oppressors uh, in the name of reconciliation. I don't have it in me. I think that he's just one great individual, and he deserves all of the encomiums, all of the praises that have been.
Hello. Flags are flying at half-mast on government buildings of several African countries. Some countries have declared 3 days of mourning as Africa joins the rest of the world to mark the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The BBC reports that Queen Elizabeth II visited more than 20 African countries during her 70-year reign. During this period, and during the first 10 years, the British Empire ended and independence swept through the continent of Africa. According to the BBC, a special link to Britain endured through the Commonwealth of Nations, which the Queen led. The BBC says it was a close and sometimes complicated relationship between the British monarchy and post-colonial Africa. Now, that is the greatest understatement of the century.
It will be wrong of me to leave this mic without saying to Britain and everybody else who care, we do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen coat on her head. We have nothing to do with the Queen.
Yes. From South Africa's politician Julius Malema to Nigerian-born US professor Uju Anya, the reactions of Africans to the Queen's death have opened up Pandora's box. In days to come, Africans expect a reset of the continent's relationship with the British monarchy, headed by the former Prince Charles, now known as King Charles III. In Mozambique, the Islamic State group has said it killed 4 Christians, including 83-year-old Italian nun, in an attack in Nampula province on Tuesday. In its statement issued via the messaging app Telegram, the Islamic State said its militants shot dead Sister Maria de Cupi because she excessively engaged in spreading Christianity. The militant group boasted that it burned down a church, 2 vehicles, and beheaded several people. A 29-year-old Nigerian man is facing 621 years in prison for defrauding New York State of $30 million. Chidozie Collins Obasi posed as a ventilator seller during the height of COVID-19 pandemic to defraud New York and other hospital systems in America. He also used work-from-home spam emails to target Americans. Chidozie has co-conspirators in Canada and elsewhere. The man also used stolen ID cards of American citizens to apply for and obtain more than $135,000 in economic injury disaster loans. For these illegal activities, the FBI charges Chidozie with 1 count of conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud, 6 counts of mail fraud, and 16 counts of wire fraud. If convicted, he will spend a maximum of 621 years in prison, a $5,750,000 fine, and must make full restitution of more than $31 million that he obtained by fraud. The FBI is pleading with anyone with knowledge of his whereabouts to contact their local FBI office. It is 11:30 a.m. in New York City, 4:30 p.m. in Nigeria, 5:30 p.m. in Mozambique. Wherever in the world you are joining us, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. I am Rudolph Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onoma, is on assignment. On our show today, we have the great Pa Ikide joining us to critically examine these stories taking place across Africa and a lot more. Pa Ikide just returned from the UK, where he received a special honor at Oxford University. He will tell us about that and what he thinks about those running to become the president of the most populous Black nation in the world. Also, he will talk about the state of African literature, who is running to take over the open seat left by Chinua Achebe. Pa Ikide, welcome to the show. All right. Where is Pa Ikide? Can we get him up? Ha ha ha. All right. Okay. Kide, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's nice. A lot of people have been telling me that I have to get you on the show, and I'm glad that you accepted to be here.
It's my haters want to have the opportunity.
They want to come after you. Yes, and of course for our viewers, we are going to give you an opportunity to talk to Ikide in another 50 something minutes. So stand by. Let me first start with the story of the passing of the Queen, Queen of England, Elizabeth II. You were just returned from England. What is your take on that? What's your feeling about the Queen?
It's very interesting. I was in a place called Stratford on the outskirts of London when my wife texted me and said, "Now that the Queen has passed, how's London feeling?" And I said, "What? Who passed?" She says, "The Queen." And I said, "We are blissfully unaware that our Queen has passed. We are all in the pubs drinking." And it's very interesting how technology has reshaped how we get information. I had to learn from America that the Queen had passed, and I was in England. There's been clearly from the African continent that there's been a mixed reaction to the passing of the Queen. My feelings are nuanced. She led a long, rich life, and beyond that, I think that we don't need to be patronized. She was the ceremonial but still powerful head of an empire that was at several important times in the history of Black Africa, the Evil Empire. And some would argue that we are still struggling with the toxic legacy of colonialism, and I would agree with that. But you have to put things in context. She was crowned a queen, I believe, in 1953.
52, yeah.
Yeah, 53.
Oh, 53, yeah, but yeah, his father died in 52.
And then Nigeria became independent in 1960. She was like 20, she was 26, I think, when she was crowned. And several African countries became independent around that time. So she was really supervising, presiding over the independence of several African states, Nigeria included. There's been my frustration with a lot of the African scholars who have spoken is the only time we hear from them and listen to them for free is when they have these outbursts on social media. Their thoughts, their well-considered thoughts, are usually hidden behind expensive paywalls, usually hidden in overpriced books, and they profit from them. But we only hear these outbursts when things like this happen. I think that some of them may be right, but we don't need to be patronized. We know what the British Empire represents to us. what would be helpful for young Africans, for instance, is a considered almost free interrogation of these things, so people can read and understand history and understand the role of these states, these leaders in the fate of Black Africa. We don't there. It's if you want to see anything by an African scholar, you'll have to pay for it. You'll just have to pay for it, and as a result, they are largely irrelevant to Africa, every one of them.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Hold on. You said a lot of things.
yeah.
You talked about. I believe you are referring to Professor Ujuanya, one of the people whose comment.
Well, there were several. She's not the only one that spoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my. I look at it. I come at it from that perspective. I just don't want to. I just don't want to be hearing from you. I mean, you all knew this lady was going to die. She's 96. There is no. The only tributes, the only obituaries of depth are Western newspapers. They do the work. We stay in the West, drink their red wine, eat their cheese, and each time we want their attention, we yell at them. And of course, the white man is strange. He gives us even more money to yell at them and calls it important post-colonial studies. That's bullshit. We need to start doing the work, and in an altruistic manner. We need to start educating people the way people like Achebe, Soyinka, Ngugi raised my generation by teaching us literally for free, how the world works. I can't find any scholars right now. I see them all in the West just authoring work stuff. It's silly.
I wanted to say, what do you expect of them? You mentioned that their books are out of reach because some of them publish books, publish articles in journals, but somehow, it doesn't reach the ordinary people. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, exactly what I'm saying. There is an equity gap. There's a huge equity gap. Every day, young people cannot afford to read in Nigeria or in Africa. They are further and further away from being competitive with the rest of the world. If I send, say, 10,000 naira to someone in Nigeria and I say, look, here's 10,000 naira. There's a good book I want you to buy. It's 3,000 naira. Buy the book and use the other ones for something. Do you think the person will buy the book today? They will be foolish to. They can't, they have other priorities. But just think about any Nigerian scholar. Think about any Nigerian writer of note. Think about their books, how much their books cost. Think about their thoughts, where their thoughts go. We cannot have.
Is it their fault that the books are expensive?
Well, it is not their fault that their books are expensive, but they have not been innovative in trying to figure out how to reach our youngsters who really need to be reading the right content. Give you an example. As you know, I have sworn never to write a book, to publish a book. I will go to my grave, I hope, without having published a book. I have been writing nonstop, free content to young people because for me, it's the right thing to do. I wouldn't be where I am today if the Achebes of the world, the Soyinkas of the world, had not written for people like me in a medium I could afford. So I'll give you an example. I know I sound like a broken record. Every young African that I know has a cell phone. And what do you think they're doing? They're reading nonstop. They may be on Leader Cage's page or Big Brother Nigeria, but I think it's a failure of leadership, a failure of intellectual leadership, that our scholars who, have basically hidden themselves behind expensive paywalls and write overpriced books that nobody but themselves and their Western audience reads. It's a problem. It's a huge crisis, and if we don't address it, Africa will continue to head south in the wrong direction.
All right, we are going to go into books later, but let me praise you because I know you are an advocate of people reading the social media, people writing on social media. It counts as
Yeah.
writing,
Yeah.
and of course, if we talk about Professor Juanya, for instance, she made her post on social media, so she's it
But
counts.
it was an outburst.
Mm.
If you go to her if you go to her Twitter account, it's not as if she's just sat there and said, you know, I'm just going to do a thread. I'm going to do a thread that's informative on any issue. You understand? I mean, it was an outburst. There's nothing. I mean, and she's very entitled to her views. I just think that African scholars or scholars of African extraction have failed the continent by basically sitting around in the West and just, you know, waiting to be on the defensive each time rather than being innovative and rather than being useful to the continent. We are all, as a group, totally worthless to Africa.
Okay, we go to the intellectuals and what they do, but let's look at politicians. There were other reactions from the political class.
Yeah.
Someone like Adamu Gaba
Yeah.
said that the UNN should be renamed Queen Elizabeth University of Nigeria. Someone like Shore Omoyele Shore said that Nigeria, if he became president, he will pull Nigeria out of the Commonwealth. What do you think about these reactions from the political class?
Again, it's just like their intellectual counterparts. It's just another incoherent set of outbursts. They just, it's bullshit when you think about it. Murtala Mohammed, who slaughtered all the men of Asaba, has his head on our currency. An international airport is named after him. Port Harcourt is named after a pedophile. You understand? And I can give you instances of history that needs to be corrected. None of these people will ever say squat about the things there. If I had to choose between Queen Elizabeth being on my currency and Murtala Mohammed being on my currency, who do you think I will choose? That's my point. It's it's disgraceful. A lot of what our scholars and politicians have been doing since the passing of Queen Elizabeth is performative.
Mm.
You know, they're just being insincere, totally insincere. The only times we hear from them is when a Western dignitary transitions, or if there's something in the West, or if the Nobel Prize comes again, or the Booker Prize comes, and some black young person is shortlisted, and then the whole world just erupts. But people disappear every day in our country, as you know. Shiites are slaughtered by the hundreds, as you know, and buried in mass graves. You don't hear squat from any of these so-called intellectuals or writers. But let there be one person killed in the West. They all take a knee and go, oh my God, Black Lives Matter, because they're doing it for clout. They have zero interest in anything that does not improve upon their brand. That's my problem with them.
Mm. Okay, let me get your take on this. This is a tweet from Bashir El Rufai. I know you know the name. Is a son of the governor of Kaduna State.
Unfortunately.
He said that the British colonial establishment placed the North at the peak of power in my dear country. For that, I will always be indebted to the British royal crown and the method of indirect rule for my people and our dear monarchs. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth.
Well, first of all, he's an idiot, and he's ahistoric. Forgive me. And then, of course, he's being clannish, and that's part of the problem, the history of the legacy of British incursion in much of West Africa. And that's my point. A lot of these young people who spew illiterate stuff are poorly educated. You know, and it's not his fault. He's if he's an idiot, it's because we failed to educate him properly about the nuanced role that the British played in what happens to be Nigeria today. You know, the games they played, the North versus the South, and so on and so forth. The games they played in Biafra. He's talking from from the viewpoint of people who think that they are the victor against the vanquished, you see. But these are things that should have been interrogated, I'm saying, a long time ago. You understand? But nobody does it. If I am sure there's some thoughtful write-up somewhere in some journal. Again, you have to pay $45 to download it. If nobody reads it, has it been written? The Erufai family is a living disgrace for one thing, but it's just symptomatic of the situation that we find ourselves.
Mm. So I asked people yesterday what should be, if they have the, I know they don't have the power, but what should they recommend should be a kind of new relationship with the British monarchy for African countries, especially countries that were once governed by the British. Now that the Queen is no more and Charles is the new king, what will you say to that?
That's a great question, to be honest. And it makes me sad because we are today, thanks to the deterioration uh, of the prestige and the stature of many African nations, Nigeria being at the top, we are no longer negotiating from a position of strength. Do you understand? There was a time when we were literally like partners and peers, was symbiotic. Remember there was a time you could go into England without a passport, without a
A
visa.
visa. Mhm.
Yeah, and our scholars went to school there. They came home. They had a long cherished tradition of us supporting each other. And today, I don't think the government in power could just go up to one Downing Street and say we want to be partners. There is no, and that is why it is important. What young people are doing today, trying to hold their leaders accountable, trying to get a new form of government that is accountable to the people, is the right way to go. Until we begin to get to that point, all we have is a pretend government, a gathering of clowns that nobody will ever take seriously. It's a real problem, and it tells us that we have to do all we can to support young folks to take their future away from the hands of these thieves and thugs.
Now we're talking about the people who will make decisions for us. Let's look at the presidential election coming up next
Yeah.
year. The three or four major candidates. We have Bola Tinubu, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Kwankwaso. What do you think about each of them?
Well, um, I think it's disrespectful of Tinubu for Tinubu to want to be running. It's disrespectful to the Nigerian people that, given his sordid background, given his health um, um, conditions, and given the fact that he is very responsible for the 8 or so years of hell that Nigeria has been through recently, that he still wants to extend that suffering by another 4, possible 8 years. I just think he should go away. Just go away. That's all I can say. Atiku is healthier, but there is literally no, in my view, no difference between the PDP and the APC. He's a corrupt man, and his hands are everywhere in the awful history of governance in Nigeria, especially since 1999, as you know. So I don't much respect him. Um, I would say of Peter Obi, that it's the closest that we've had in having someone with dignity, that's articulate, that's presentable, that can represent Nigeria, the closest we've had in a long time. But you and I know that it should not be a politics of personality. It should be a politics of good people and good systems. Systems in thriving nations, drive the morality of people. So when Peter Obi starts saying, "I will do this, I will do this," I just begin to wonder, where is the structure in place? Where is the system in place? What are the policies that will make him successful? So, I'm also focused on the fact that young men and women really, really want to stop what's going on. And if it's Peter Obi, that will do it, more power to him. I have to say this: it is sad that the best we can do is someone whose running mate says that Nigerians who are gay should be executed, should be murdered, and no, not one person, not even you, have said this. Wait a minute. This is beyond inappropriate. This is criminal. If we cannot, if Peter Obi, if I cannot hold him accountable, I have zero hope that when they get in power, they can hold anybody accountable. This is not somebody saying I have a problem with the GBTLQ community. This is somebody saying they should be murdered. But they are our best hope. That's sad. And then somebody will ignore that and say to a little old lady who just died, "Shame on you, shame on us."
Okay, so what about Omoyele Sowore? A lot of people bring him up in several conversations about the alternative to the four leading candidates. What do you think about him?
I don't really consider him a viable candidate. He's my friend. Yes, he's running an interesting campaign, but I really don't consider him a viable candidate, to be quite honest. So I don't,
Why is it that what is the reason behind that?
Well, he doesn't have the structures in place. I think also there are concerns about about his history. I mean, he was initially supportive of Buhari, I believe. Then he got really upset with him when he began to find out that they had made a huge mistake. He was not the only one, by the way. But this is my thing, and I'm not talking to you as an idealist. I'm talking to you as a civil servant who has run some of the most complex systems, some of the most complex municipal government systems in the world. You cannot run a government successfully by personality. You have to have systems in place. I have run a school system that's the 14th largest in the nation, a $3 billion empire. I am part of a team running a local government that's a $6 billion operating budget. So I know about systems. I'm not just a storyteller or a dreamer. And I'm telling you, we should not be asking about individuals. We should be asking about, the system. And right now, there is no difference between the APC and the PDP. There's literally no difference amongst the leaders of the various parties. But Peter Obi stands out. But he's still part of the system. He came from them. Don't forget, he was with the PDP. It's just a mess. And my theory is that at some point there's a coming trauma that at some point will reset the situation we're in.
Yeah, very, very good. You said there is something coming.
Yeah.
We had this commentator who said that if Peter Obi should fail to win this election, that there will be a revolution. Is that the kind of thing you are talking about?
That's positive. That's possible. I'm worried that it's not about Peter Obi. I really don't like people.
No, I mean, it's not about Peter Obi. I think you were talking about the young people.
Let me put it this way:
mm-hmm.
if these young people do not get what they want and deserve, Nigeria will be in trouble. And my concern is my generation and older were not listening. They've had it. Intellectuals and politicians in Nigeria are joined together in ripping off young people. ASU has been away for like 7-8 months. Their children are abroad with my children attending real schools. The same with the leaders. I mean, where is the outrage? You understand? There are no good schools. There are no good hospitals. There are no good roads. It's just a strange place to be young in. And finally, they're saying, remember, there was NSARS. This is another one coming. If Tinubu, Atiku, and them think this is politics as usual, they are going to be very surprised uh, when all of this is concluded. I just think they have to listen to the young folks.
You said, where is the outrage?
Yeah.
Where is the outrage? Who is responsible? Why there is no outrage for something like the universities being closed for more than
Yeah,
6 months?
yeah, because the intellectuals benefit from this stuff. The politicians benefit. The voices, those who have strong voices, have sold their voices to the devil. That's all I can say. You understand? We are all in the West hustling. Those that are back in Nigeria are hustling. They don't care. As long as their family is fine, they don't really care. But I do. I'm not there. My kids are not there. I don't need the money because I travel lightly, like I say. There is no outrage. The only time we get outrage is when the queen dies and somebody says something really cute on Twitter, and then we all get excited. Anything can happen in Nigeria, and nobody will say a word. No writer will say a word, and that is where I would like to say this. The African American community is quite different from us. Look at what happened with George Floyd. The African American writer, the African American scholar would not stop until there is closure. Think about that.
Now,
but our folks have no interest in whatever trauma is happening inside. They only look outside because it helps their brand. And I have a problem with that.
You talked about those who have voices. They sold their voices. You have a voice. You've not sold your voice. Yeah, and
But you all thought I was a lunatic. Remember, I have been screaming since before 2014. Remember, and you all threw me out unceremoniously from the literary community, right? Yeah, I was the leper. Thanks to the internet, I became an institution myself. 20 years ago, if I had been thrown out, I'll be gone. You understand? So I told all of you what was going to happen if Buhari was elected. And everything I said, plus more, has happened. But you know what is sad? We all knew. There's nobody in our group that did not know that Buhari was going to be, a disaster. But we will have to do that analysis. And of course, I've done the analysis. I know what happened. I know why it happened. Why people who wrote such searing, powerful critiques of Buhari suddenly changed their minds and said he's going to be the one that will take over from Goodluck Jonathan.
Why? Remind those who who probably did not follow you then or do not follow you consistently, why it happened, because that's still a question that most people are trying to answer.
Look, traditionally, the strong voices, the intellectual voices, have been from the Southwest. You know that, right? If you start naming all the brilliant people, they are, that really lend their voice to cultural change, political change. They're all in the Southwest. But my theory is that they made a calculation that the best way for a Yoruba presidency was to go with Buhari, and then the power would, virtually our locum is our turn. It will be our turn, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But there was an ethnic coming together, and they were the strong voices, and they helped shape the narrative. And narrative, as you know, is powerful. That's the whole point of literature, and they shape the narrative, and people believe them. And that's why we are where we are. It was a huge mistake. The other important point I need to make like them, I don't believe in Nigeria as it's presently constituted. I think that it is too central. I think that the satellites have to be more powerful than the central. But unlike me, they are dishonest about it. They mouth one Nigeria, but that's proxy for saying protect the status quo so that we, the Southwest, can stay on top. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory. I think that we have to have, so that's why I say it's more than Peter Obi. We have to talk about structural change. We have to talk about negotiating our way out of this central toxicity that we find ourselves in. It's not impersonal. As you know, I admire all these people for their individual contributions to Nigeria, to the world, from Professor Shoyinka down to even some of the young folks on Twitter that helped bring this. But they made a mistake. They made a huge mistake, and they should own up to it.
So looking at 2023, what the analysis are being done today, but you see how the voters, the people, are reacting. If at the end someone like Atiku wins or someone like Tinubu wins, who will blame the said intellectuals or the media, because they typically blame the media. I don't think that there is no analysis out there about what could happen if this person should win or this person should win. But at the end, people will turn around and forget as if there were no discussions before then that pointed at some of the dangers. What do you think? What do you think about this? Because I want to get your view about this fear of Muslim tickets should Tinubu win.
I don't. It's not something that keeps me up at night. I don't. The whole Muslim ticket, Christian Muslim, or whatever stupid combination, is just a facade. They're all the same tribe of thieving people. So how has a Christian ticket helped me? Or it's just the same group, the same tribe. They're all the same people. So it's a facade to try to get votes for people who think if you have a Muslim, this is what's going to happen to you. They're all the same people. Their children are in non-Muslim countries having the time of their lives, while they are in Nigeria pretending to be they're in Nigeria pretending to rule the place. So I don't. It's not an issue for me. You understand? I don't. And maybe because I've been away so long, it's not something that I just think. I just think that fundamentally we are missing the point, which is that the governance system, the political system in Nigeria today is not sustainable, and we are trying to ride a broken bike to the moon. First of all, you shouldn't be riding a bike to the moon. Then when it's broken, it's worse. So I have serious problems with the Nigerian Constitution, which was willed to us by corrupt generals who stole everything and left. Even the colonialists didn't steal as much as these idiots did. But nobody yells at them. But they're looking for clout. They start yelling at the little lady that just died. So those are the problems. I think we have to look at Nigeria organically. But the only way that will happen, I suspect, is through trauma. And until that happens, you will still find, thugs like Tinubu running around saying, it's my turn. I mean, where is the outrage? I ask you, why is Tinubu even remotely qualified to be president of our country? Why is Atiku even thinking about running for that?
They have the right to run, I think.
Well, should they have the right to run?
No, I mean, if you have a democracy.
No, don't speak from both sides. Just tell me, should they have a right to run? Any system that gives those two characters, the right to run, it's a broken system.
Yeah, you can say that.
So
yeah,
that's what it is. That's my point. That we are looking at these things sideways because we are afraid of the answers. But my science background says you must first get the answer, then try to figure out how to deal with it. These people should not be running. You understand?
Mm.
You don't even have to go to America to say, in America, would they run? No. Even next door, African country, they will not allow them to run. So why are we doing the same thing? It doesn't make sense.
Mm. All right. Now, for those who are watching, and I've seen some questions already on the comment section, but I want to let you know that in another 20 minutes, we will let you in. You can ask your question. Somebody wanted to know, for instance, if you could provide proof of how and where Shore supported Buhari. We will get to some of the questions that are.
The person should Google. I'm not responding to that. Google is their friend. That's ridiculous.
All right. So let's go to what happened. You just came back from the UK. You went and you received an award at Oxford University. Tell us what happened. How did that came about?
Yeah. Well, I was in my house and I got a text from Onyekan Professor Nwelwe, and he says, "Are you? Did you get your email? Are you going to accept?" And I said, "What's he talking about?" So I go into my email, and there it was. I had gotten this email from the University of Oxford, the James Curry Society, and so on and so forth, saying that I was going to be given this award. Lifetime achievement in literary criticism. At first, I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to another Western institution and accept an award. And then the more I thought about it, I realized that it wasn't really about me. It was about a lot of young people that follow my work. It was about the struggle for the heart and soul of narrative, of African literature, of Nigerian literature, between the old and the new. And they were trying to situate what they saw as my work in it. And so I decided, well, that makes sense. And I went for it. And then he said, then I was told I had to give a lecture, the inaugural James Curry lecture, and I gave one. I have to say that I am still in awe that they considered me for that high honor. It's the first ever. I came out at Heathrow. They were from Heathrow all the way to Oxford and back to the States. It's been honor. These young people just honored me, and I didn't want to come back to America. I see my wife saying, "Huh, they have spoiled you now. You think you came back with a bad attitude? Go and take out the trash, my friend." so when the time came for my flight to come back, I was like in tears. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go home and be responsible. But it was you have to understand that for many years, for over a decade, I have been saying the book is dying a long, slow death. I have been saying that we need to go meet readers where they are, and I've been saying also that the writer should have a moral voice in what's going on in Nigeria and in Africa. And for that, I got thrown out. But the award seemed to be a validation of all that I had been doing.
Now, hold on, because you said this twice, and I can't actually say that I know the incident. Can you let me know, or let the viewers know the incident where you were thrown out? Because I don't remember.
I mean, I think there was a falling out in 2015. If you remember, the Shiite massacre happened around that time. General Buratai, that thug, the Shiites had stopped his convoy, and in retaliation, his soldiers went and basically slaughtered over 1,000 men, women, and children. The thing still, when I think about it, it just shakes me up. It reminds me of the Asaba massacre. And El Rufai buried them in unmarked graves. And to this day, there has been no consequences. Buratai has been shielded from opprobrium by him being made an ambassador. El Rufai is still walking around as a statesman because he is a friend of the Nigerian literary community. They, rather than confront him, they took money from him to start this Kaduna Book Festival.
and I had a huge problem with that. And I led a campaign to have that festival boycotted. Today, we no longer have that festival. It's because of me. But as a result, I became a pariah in the literary community, and nobody would invite me to any place of note, which was fine with me because, as you know, the writing thing, the literature thing, is just a hobby of mine. I don't make a dime from it. If I write, I give it to them to publish for free because they don't have money anyway. So I just give it to them for free. I on purpose would give out my my written works for free. In return, I get nothing for it. But it was a very difficult time for all of us because I was not going to back off. I just thought that it was criminal. It was beyond immoral for writers to go to Kaduna and be reading poetry, reading prose on the graves, literally on the graves of people who had been massacred. These same people who were not only quiet, but who made money off of the dead are the ones now saying people shouldn't grieve the queen. Come on, just get away. I don't understand this.
All right. That's very good explanation, just for people who may not know. I also know that in the past you had let me see the word to choose. There was an issue between you and Wole Soyinka. What was that? Can you share that for people who may not know?
An issue? I don't.
Yeah.
I love Wole Soyinka. What are you talking about?
but you were mentioned in his book, one
Yeah.
of his
No.
books. Yeah.
Okay.
What was
So
that?
when Professor Wole Soyinka won the Nobel Prize, it was in 1986. I was in this country. It was one of the proudest moments of my life. You know, I mean, you got to give the man kudos. You got to give the man, credit for what he has done for not just African literature, for literature and for narrative. And in the 90s, when MKO Abiola was denied the election, that was one of the finest times of Professor Soyinka. He walked around the world like the lion that he was and roared, and people listened. He worked very hard to make sure that he worked very hard. He used his voice literally for free to make sure that the world stood and heard him about what was going on in the darkness that was Abacha's Gulag. I remember when Ken Saro-Wiwa was killed. He was inconsolable. He was just inconsolable. The poetry of his rage still haunts me to this day. And the difference I have with him was around Buhari. It's nothing personal. I was very angry because if you read his 2007 essay on the many crimes of Buhari, he was really enraged when he realized people were still considering this evil man for presidency. And he said, how soon do you guys forget? And he was giving people the historical reasons why it is just bad to think of this guy. He reminded us about that young man, I think it was Ogodegbe, who was executed by Buhari. They made a law about drug crimes, which meant a death sentence. They backdated it to when this guy committed the crime, and they executed him. Yeah. And he reminded us about all of this stuff. And then if you read his book, You Must Set Forth at Dawn, he did the same thing. Very harrowing chapter about this evil person that was Buhari. And then when he turned around and said, well, I think he's reformed, and basically gave the nod for him to be supported by key people, I was just beside myself. That's all, that's it. I don't, I think, on balance, I think he made a huge mistake. But I think on balance, I am proud that he comes from a country that I identify with. I just think he was wrong.
Mm. All right, let's look at literature in general in Africa, in Nigeria. What are your observations?
Well, it depends on what you call literature. I mean, what the West calls literature, from my perspective, is irrelevant to Africa. Nobody reads these people. I mean, this guy that just won the Nobel Prize, how many people know him in Africa? You understand? If 5,000 people have read him in Africa, it's still 0% of. But he's clearly a very accomplished writer. You don't just win the Nobel Prize by it's not an affirmative action pick. I'm sure he deserved it. But he's not Shoyinka, he's not Achebe. You understand? And this is my problem: the unintended consequence of writing facing the West is that people are no longer really that interested in what's going on in Africa. It's just performative. It's just performative. They are out in MFA halls, thinking, what's the latest technique? Do not use very with very good. Just do good. Oh yeah, okay. So, and they are writing cute little poems. They are cute little guys, but they're irrelevant. Who are you? Nobody. And that's my point. What is the point of this writing? And some of them are the ones writing talking points anyways for dictators, for thieves, for genocide enablers. And in the daytime, they say all the right things to the white man. And the white man says, oh, yeah, how cute. Here, take some more money. So they're all in the West with me, enjoying with me cheese, wine, and just bullshitting all day. We have lost strong voices to the West. Now, having said that, there is something happening. The narrative, the real literature is online now, on social media, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook. And if you notice, sometimes you are a writer, the next minute you are the reader. There's this interplay, this call response that's going on. They are writing. If they write egusi, they don't have to explain it. So egusi is some kind of melon seed that is blah, blah, blah. They just write. If they write ogbono, they don't have to explain it. If they write ugali, they don't have to explain it. But what is interesting is these folks do not know that they are writers. But we are getting the most access to African narrative that we have ever. But the West that is still hung up on books still looks at Africa through the prism of books. And I'm saying, first of all, with not very few Africans can afford to read the books being written by African writers, but millions of Africans are reading and writing literature on social media, and we have to pay attention. I keep saying that, but I'm enjoying myself. If I want to read literature, I just go on Twitter and I read. I go on Facebook.
Now, I know what you're saying, but there are writers still who are selling a lot, even in Africa.
Give me an example.
Like Chimamanda Adichie. What do you think of her and her writing?
Oh, I admire Miss Adichie. I think that if there are 3 books or 4 books that that have shaped me, her book Half of a Yellow Sun is one of them. She wrote that book as if she was in the war. She wrote it with her blood. You cannot, if that's the only book she has written, she deserves a place in the pantheon of literature. It's an epic book. I enjoyed Purple Hibiscus. I think that Americana is a good book, but I don't I don't like it as much as the other 2. I didn't really care for the book of short stories, This Thing Around Your Neck, and I said so. But she hasn't written fiction. She hasn't written a book of fiction for a long time. She's been doing other things. She wrote this Notes on Grief. And when my mother passed, somebody gifted me the book, and it was a very comforting little book to read. So I think very highly of her. I think that her heart is in the right place. She's done a lot of good things. I don't, but again, I'm talking about people that are writing fiction today actively, people that are writing poetry actively today. I'm saying, what are you doing?
So let me mention another name. Someone like Teju Cole. What do you think about him?
um, I mean, he, he hasn't written a book for, I
It
don't
takes
know,
time. It takes
for
time.
yeah, I know, but I'm not putting, he's a brilliant man. But if you were to, he'll be probably the first to say, I'm not sure that I want to be called an African writer, and I absolutely respect that, because she's, for him, and I agree, it's not a binary. I mean, he writes some very, very complex works in the New Yorker that could have been written by a white American, an African American. He's probably that's another thing. Teju Cole is probably a conversation about identity. What is identity? And he's quietly honest about it. He's going to write. I mean, he's written some very, very important essays and published them for the world to see. But he may have started out as an African writer with this range and depth, but he's like in a different place. But again, is it fair to call him a voice representing Africa? I don't think it's fair to him. I don't think it's fair to Africa. I don't know that he wakes up and says, I want to talk about Africa. He's more likely to say, I want to talk about the Black Lives Movement.
Okay, so let's look at this, because you took a swipe on intellectuals, public intellectuals, and one person we can all say is a public intellectual, not just a writer, is someone like Okendebe.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that someone like him has not been trying to engage in the conversation, the kind of conversation you are looking for, you are expecting African intellectuals to?
Yeah, I hope he's not listening, because I'm going to say
No, not yet, not yet.
I'm going to say something nice about him.
No, he's not. He's not listening yet.
Okay, earns my respect, and he's not the only one. There are a few others who've been riding the waves of technology to reach out to young Nigerians, to reach out to. He's a powerful force on social media, as you know, on the internet, and he just doesn't spout stuff. He's very thoughtful about engagement. He's been very supportive. When I was in Oxford, there were several young people who would come to me and talk about how he supported them and all that. He's a gifted storyteller, and people follow him on Twitter. People follow him on Facebook, and he's there. But my point is, we need to do more. We need more of them, and I think that is changing. You see, that more as they are coming down from their high horses, they are now engaging readers from a place of respect. Yeah, he absolutely has done all the right things from my perspective.
Okay, so the young ones, because sometimes when we discuss African literature, there are young ones who are coming up every day. We have someone like Akweke Mezie, Chinelo Alanta, so many young. Is the issue that do you read them? First of all, let me ask you.
Yeah.
You read them?
Mm-hmm.
You think that they are on the right path?
So the reason I respect them is they are writing. They are writing from their own. They are writing honestly, in my perspective, from their own experience with their own identity. You understand, and widening how we see Africans or people that are of African extraction. There's the GBTLQ issue that I talked about earlier. And they are right there, having very important conversations, among folks about these issues, but it's not clear to me, again, just like we talked about Teju Cole, that they are necessarily writing from, a place in Africa. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
They are writing, given their own lived experience, their own their own identities, and they're just like, we come from this space, but this is who we are, and that's very important. We have to start thinking of this not as a binary. You're either in Africa or you're not, but looking at the writers as individuals, the sum of their lived experiences and their works, because technology now allows us to do that. Yeah.
Okay. One last question before we bring our audience, our guests. Our audience are here. There are many of them are trying to get in. And all right, let me ask you about this big money that we throw at writers every year in Nigeria. The Nigerian liquefied natural gas price for literature. Why is it not making impact? I mean, what else is
Well,
needed?
yeah. So I have been very critical of the NLNG prize. I don't know if you know this. I've been following them, studying them closely for at least a decade now. They they spend approximately $1 million every year to give out $100,000 prize. So if they have been doing this for like 15 years, they've spent at least 12 to 15 million dollars on on the price. And I have said to them, I've said, look, that's a lot of money and I really appreciate it, but perhaps we can have a conversation about the best way to make an impact with that money. It's a lot of money to be throwing up around and giving to one person who promptly disappears, and you don't hear from them until the next time when it is their genre to come. $100,000 is a lot of money to give to somebody who's not written much, and several of them that have won have not written much, and they've not written anything really worth. A few of them have written really forgettable stuff. So my view is the money is not being used appropriately. There are now 3 poets that are shortlisted this time. I don't see why they can't just take the $100,000 and split it amongst the 3 of them. You know, it will still be a lot of money, you see. And so that's part of it's a structural issue. I think that it's not a whole lot of money to the NLNG prize. They can just humor some writers with $1 million a year, but it's a lot of money to the writers, you see. So we need to impose on them the need to look at different ways of spending that money. They could support the publishing industry. They could do a whole lot of things. They could go digital. I mean, there's so many exciting things they could do with $1 million every year.
Have you read any book of any of the winners?
Oh yeah. I mean, of course. I used to review. The books myself before.
Okay.
The 3 poets that that are shortlisted. They're very powerful writers, young writers. I'm very fond of them. I think any one of them that wins deserves it. But I just think that we need to look at different ways of Cheluchia Onyemelukwe that won the last year. I mean, if you look at her book, I wrote the blurb. I mean, the blurb for it. So I'm very, very. I do all of this for free. You see, I'm very, very involved in those things. Even though a lot of these people. I mean, Cheluchi Onyemelukwe's book is an amazing book. You should find it and read it. It's just an amazing book. She writes with quiet confidence. She does not explain anything. She just does her thing. The 3 poets, similarly, they've really written some good stuff. I have their books. And I think to be fair, the NLNG has been improving somewhat in terms of listening to folks. I'm getting gentler in my criticism of them, so they're not as defensive. I just think, I used to be really, really angry at them 10, 15 years ago, maybe because I'm getting older. Now I'm just begging them, you've done well, please, let's spend the money somewhere. But 10 years ago, I was just spitting rocks.
Mm-hmm. All right, but okay, I will have to get people in. But the point is that there are some of these writers who get this money, and you can't find their books on Amazon.
No,
so
because you know what happens? When the time comes, they start stapling together stuff just so they can qualify for. But I can't say this for this. To be fair, these poets, this group, they've been writing. A lot of the 3 of them, I believe, live abroad and live in the West. They've been writing. And they've got published works ahead of, so I can't say, I can honestly tell you that they are each hardworking writers in their own. I don't agree with them on many things, but I cannot fault the fact that they are hardworking writers. They are talented. Even some of them are gifted. Cheluchi's book, like I said, I wrote a review of the book, read it. And so they have found a way to make sure that the quality of the finalists improves. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to now bring in our audience who are itching to talk to you, hopefully ask you questions, and I hope it will be nice. All right, so if you come on, please. Okay, the first person we have is CM. CM, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Rudolph, and thank you, Paikide. Yeah.
So,
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, fine. I'm all right. Do
all
I
right,
kick off?
so you have a question for yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. But before, just a little bit of housekeep. Paikide, you are my friend on
Yeah.
Facebook. We've had an exchange some time ago when you gave out some books. So when I asked you for it, you say you've already given them out, but you promised when next we are going to do the bonanza, I should be top on your list. So I'm still waiting. You remember?
Yeah, send me a DM whenever somebody's coming home. I'll send them home to you. I've got tons of books in my basement. You can have.
No, I'm not home. I'm in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Same thing. UK
okay. Well,
UK is the same as Nigeria. And I was just there. You see, I was just there. If you told me, I would have brought the books.
I saw you having tea somewhere in Oxford in one class. I know. I saw the picture.
Yes.
I know.
If you had told me, I'd have brought them with me.
Yeah.
I come to the UK like every year, so maybe we can do something.
Okay. Anyway, congratulations for the award. Anyway, let me not lose sight of that fact.
Thank you.
So my question to you, I've listened to particularly, I think we share the same.
You're cracking up.
The role of the monarchy. It's an evil empire anyway. While she was alive. So my question is, do you agree with those that believe that there is forever an unseen hands of the imperial evil empire of Great Britain in the affairs of Nigeria as presently constituted?
Absolutely. And so what is the point? There are more PhDs per square inch in Nigeria than anywhere else in the West. So if we know this, why are we still where we are? That's my point. I don't need to be patronized. Nobody needs to tell me that there are no interests that are extractive of Nigeria. That's why we went to school. We've got buku PhDs per square inch, and yet Nigeria is going south from independence. And by the way, it's not only Nigeria, it's South Africa. I visited South Africa, and a lot of the poor blacks are blissfully unaware that apartheid is gone. You know why? Because of people like the middle class blacks like myself, treating them worse than the demons of apartheid. We are stating the obvious. It is not in the interest of America or of Great Britain to be anything other than they are. It is our responsibility to say, you know what, this is not right. Why is it cheap for you guys to take cocoa from us, and then when you sell it back to us, you're selling it to us at 100 times more than you bought it? In the year 2022, our leaders are idiots. Our intellectuals are just lazy people. That's the thing. That we're bullshitting. And I'm not being a dreamer. I'm just telling you that this is what I do for a living. I have run some of the most sophisticated municipal systems, educational systems in the world. And I can tell you, if you don't have thinkers, if you don't have good structures, you will continue to see the joke that's called Nigeria. That's all I'm saying.
All right, thank you, CM. If we get a chance, you can come back again for another question. Mr. Murray, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Any question for Paikide?
I don't really. Okay, I just want to throw one question. Thank you, Dr. Demi, for having me. Thank you, Dr. Hidi, for being our guest today on the show. Yeah, you made mention of you. There was a lot of accolades and compliment for Professor Wole Soyinka. But at a point, you felt there was something that was not too right Do you think he did that because of the pretense of Buhari? For example, those that were supposed to honor June 12, for example, were there for 16 years, they did nothing.
Yes.
But when he came aboard, he tried to, pretend as if he was a repentant Democrat.
Yeah.
Do you think that emanated, that singular mistake of Wole Soyinka, quote unquote, will have arisen from there? Honoring of Abiola, making a June 12 a Democracy Day, and stuff like that. My other question is, the second question is, you talked of, okay, that would be it for now, sir.
Okay, so I don't know. Like I said, Professor Soyinka is someone I admire greatly, and I'm not going to be disrespectful to him. My rage grew out of the fact that I consider myself an informal student of his, and everything I learned about Buhari. When I left, you have to understand, I left the country in 1982, and so everything I heard about Buhari, I had read, was from Soyinka's rigorous interrogation of the evil that was his reign, Babangida and Abacha, and so on and so forth. So it just felt like a betrayal when he turned around and, in a sense, supported the guy. I thought that was a mistake. But I'm past that. Thankfully, I am no longer the really, really angry person that I was in 2014 and 2015. The thing that you have to understand is I'm really not into politics. Civil rights is an issue for me, and I will never, never, never forgive Mr. Buhari for the civil rights abuse that he and Idi Agbon executed from December 31, 1983 to 1985, when they were thrown out unceremoniously. They are evil people, and I hope that that they get that justice is there down the road. So that was where I was. I really, the APC, the PDP, there's a distinction without a difference. I think they're all the same thieving idiots. But for me, Soyinka was a moral voice, with a brilliant voice that told us what the right thing was. And then when he changed his mind, I was furious.
Mm. All right, thank you, Paikide. Ovie, you're next.
Thank you for coming through. I have two questions. One is, you deliberately not talk about the incoming president after you spend time to actually make points about the first three presidential oath. You talked about Obi briefly, Tinubu and Atiku. But you forget to talk about Ambassador Rabi Musa Akonkoso, the incoming president. That's one. And two, the way you break down how the Nigerian ruling elite move and how the presidential system pretty much is not working for us. Do you think that an average Nigerian actually understand what is at play here in terms of the kind of a presidential system that we operate in?
Those are great questions. I only responded to the personalities because I was asked. I really don't care about personalities, to be quite honest. I don't think, and that's part of the problem, that Nigeria is such a complex country that we are focused on these badly behaved old men, every one of them, including your friend Kwankwa, so I can't even pronounce his damn name. We have to, in the interest of young people, we have to redefine how we engage, not from men and the occasional woman, but from systems, is my point. And the young people are onto something. They know that the system has to change. And they are giving Nigeria one chance by reluctantly walking through the system, through Peter Obi, to do something. And I'm saying, if he doesn't win, even though he has an idiot for a running mate, the young people are going to make us remember this that day in 2023. We cannot afford to ignore the yearnings of young people. Is my point. All these people that have been around since 1960, they don't impress me, to be quite honest. Nothing of theirs impresses me. We just need a new way of looking at things.
All right.
When you say, sorry to say young people, it seems as if it's just the minority of the young people that are actually speaking out. The vast majority of the young people also reside in the north, but the permutation is different.
Obi, only one question.
I'm sorry.
All right. Ikide, you want to respond to that? No? Or should I move?
No.
Okay. All right. Forefathers, you're next.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Rudolph, and thank you to Pa Kinde for all your accomplishment and the stuff you've done. But I take a bit of a different view from you saying that we should be mourning Her Majesty, because what would your lineage suggest that you shouldn't? Because what would Obaronwe be thinking that their children are busy mourning the people that decimated their kingdoms? What would King Jaja Vopobo be thinking? And he speaks of a people that don't know where they belong in the food chain. And you also said something about, because we're traveling to the UK with green card, without visa or something like that, and we are like equal partners. We were never equal partners. We were never been equal partners for over 300 years. And the fact that we mistake privilege for power is part of our problem. And this, I feel like our elites don't seem to understand that. If we were, I would rather be poor and free than poor and unfree. Whatever you like, you do with it. We should be advocating to be strengthening ourselves, but instead we are hooked to the hip to these people. And then you suggest that we should be grieving a force that is responsible for the decimation of our people. I just spoke to someone yesterday about losing 7 members of their family from his grandfather's grandfather. They lost 7 members of their family that are in America right now. He did a DNA test and he saw his family members that are in America. These people were responsible for it. And I don't understand how our elites or our intelligentsia that should know better don't understand the difference between somebody being your friend or a potential rival. And my question is, do you understand the difference between that when you are giving all these awards in Oxford and all the rest of it, they are also your rival. They might be acting as your friends in a personal capacity, but in a nationalistic capacity, they are pan-European. They are not for us.
All right. Thank you.
You understand that?
Thank you, forefathers. Ikide.
So, I mean, there's very little to quibble about what you just said, forefathers. I think I thank you for your interrogation. You would have to read all of my life's works to understand where I'm coming from and the method to my madness. There's a lot of madness to me, but there is a method to it. I'm also a storyteller, and sometimes I use stories, or I say certain things and do certain things to get certain reactions from folks. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you today, because I would be just another writer, another reader. I just have a way of looking at things. There are very few people that today that have interrogated the Biafran question more than myself. Suffering really triggers me, and I was an 8-year-old when the war started. My brother was a 6-year-old. We were alone in the war theater, and so the kinds of things you're talking about have bothered me. I have refused to write in the West because of the very things you've talked about, which is I don't want. I want to be able to negotiate from a position of strength, and I'm happy to say that just writing and reading and doing my thing without being beholden to a Western editor has helped my independence of thought. The issue of the Queen was frustrating to me because I think that I was trying to make a point. I think that we have lost a lot of our best thinkers, not just to the West, but to, like I said, overpriced books, to paywalls and all of that. And each time something happens, they see an opportunity to situate themselves in the center of it. But they're not really thinking like the Achebes, the Shoyinkas of the world thought about things, and I talked about it earlier. And I was thinking, if these people had given their thoughts to young people about these things, it's not today we know that the queen has, the queen is the head of an empire that was not friendly to us. Is it today? No. We've had 60, 70 years to talk about these things, but they write about these things and young people don't even know where they are writing from because they can't afford to. I'll give you an example. Somebody wrote a scholarly journal about my work. I had to spend $45. I was told to spend $45 to download it, and I said, it's not going to happen. So it's very complex. We have to. If in the 70s we were going to Britain without visas, and today, not only are we not able to go, they're just actively making sure we are nowhere near them. We are not making progress. That's my point. When are we going to get to be partners if we are moving in this direction? I tell you that it will not happen in my lifetime, and I'm only 29 years old.
Yes, that's
because we didn't take care of one single factor, the power differential. We never did it, and our elites never advocated it.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And that's why I'm here.
All right. So, forefathers, you got supporter here with your power and military power. All right, we'll talk about that later. Femi, you're next.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Akide. So, I didn't listen to the part where you spoke about the Queen, but basically, I think you kind of clarified something I was actually gonna ask you about in terms of your persona as a father. I think you described yourself as a father, fighter, lover, and a troublemaker, all in one.
No, it's Professor Ndibe that called me a troublemaker.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I'm a peaceful man. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But the guy is a hater, so he starts going around calling me a troublemaker.
Oh, okay. And I do follow. I follow some of your writings. You're quite funny, by the way.
Thank you.
I follow some of your writings on Facebook, and it's kind of interesting. Your range of thoughts on different topics. But my question is still in line with where we find ourselves in the world, in the food chain. Is respect to I was looking at something like Charlie Boy. I tweeted this I think earlier today, that had to do with the way the Igbos, for example, are treated in the West when it comes to when we're getting towards election. And the reason why I that kind of like captured my imagination, I was going to ask you these questions because for me, I was born and I grew up in the north in Kaduna. Mm-hmm. So I lived there quite a long time before we moved to Lagos, and I've been to a couple of countries before I ended up in the US. And through my conversations with Nigerians everywhere I've been, one thing that continues to bother me, and I do not think I am wrong, it's not an opinion that I formed overnight, is I just continue to think we are our own greatest enemies. Because growing up in Kaduna, it took me a long time to realize there was something called Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa. Most of even up until this moment, and I'm not saying it because I know there's people that say it for political convenience. I literally do not know whether you're Muslim or Christian. Yes, it's been built into me because whether you like it or not, growing up in a place like Nigeria, somehow, it becomes a part of you. Like you start hearing it starts as a whisper and it becomes loud. At some point, I even had my mother, may her soul rest in peace, who wasn't typically that kind of a person to put religion or language before any other thing. I remember there was a time I was dating.
Femi, your question.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I'll go straight now. Yeah. So basically, would you agree with me that we are still our greatest, we are our own greatest problems, irrespective of whatever the West may be contributing to our situation in Africa as a whole and in Nigeria in particular?
Thank you. I think I said earlier that there are more PhDs per square inch in Nigeria than anywhere else in the world. And yet we have these problems. I think that we have an opportunity to begin to look at structural ways to ensure that we all live peacefully in a warm space that happens to be Nigeria. I did my National Youth Service Corps in Kaduna in the 70s, by the way. And it was clear to me when I was in Kaduna, that I was in a place far away from Benin City, and they made it clear to me that I was not going to get a permanent job in Kaduna State, maybe at best a contractual job. I was going to have to go back, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that we have to negotiate, from my perspective, the structure within Nigeria. I have no problem with tribalism. I just think that when we think about tribalism, we look at it from a toxic space, because that's all we know. All politics is local. It should start from me through Ewu, my village, to the state, and so on and so forth. All this one Nigerian nonsense, I'm not into it. And in the States, it's the same thing. Politics is local. Politics is local. I can yell at Mr. Biden all I want. Nothing is going to happen to me as long as I don't threaten him. He doesn't pay my bills. The feds have never paid my bills. The state has never paid my bills. My salary comes from the local government. And a lot of the arguments at the federal level are really policy arguments. The federal government does policy issues, but the locals, really are dealing with bread and butter issues. I think we need to return to something like that. And there's nothing American. It's actually African. That's how we were before this new, aggregation called Nigeria.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Vin Maxwell.
Good evening, Rodolph. Good evening to my elder brother there. I have 2 questions for you, sir. Do you believe that the 1999 Constitution is people's constitution? And what is the implication for the incoming president, especially Peter Obi? Number 2, would you, listening to Julius Malema video today, do you think, and what the Barbadian Prime Minister has done a few months ago, do you think that Nigeria should hands off the influence of monarchical system of the British colony in Nigeria? Because as we speak, Nigeria is still being ruled by proxy by the colonial masters. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we're saying basically the same thing, that we really need to work very hard to get a real memorandum of understanding. I don't like the term constitution. We just have to have a memorandum. Somebody said, well, the white man has a flag, let's get a flag. The white man has a constitution, let's get a constitution. So, you could have a country, you don't have to have a flag. You don't have to have a constitution. You can have a memorandum of understanding. The constitution was something put together by a bunch of thieves and hurriedly handed over to another incoming group of, it turns out, thieves, starting from Obasanjo down. And so, and the legislators had an opportunity since 1999 to change stuff. They didn't do anything. So I don't know how Peter Obi is as a single person is going to be able to make legislators do their work, which they have not done. But my fear is that trauma will force all of us to sit at the table and decide things. You have to understand, the American Constitution arose because a bunch of thieves who fled their old countries said, we know we are all thieves, so let us just sit down here and write rules, because we want to be able to sleep at night knowing that we are all good at this thieving thing. And they wrote, they wrote a constitution that works for them. We need to do the same for Nigeria. I have no respect for the constitution because I know where it comes from.
All right. Thank you.
My second question, sir.
And that one was...
It didn't answer my second question, sir.
What was it again? Remind us.
Remind me real quickly. I thought...
No, my second question was, can Nigeria go? Can Nigeria go the line of Barbados?
Yeah.
Because Barbados has hands off the influence of monarchical system in Barbados. can Nigeria do same? Because as we speak, Britain is still the queen. The kingdom of England is still ruling Nigeria by proxy. Thank you, sir.
I will go even further than that. I would say that the West is ruling these black African countries, not only by proxy, brazenly. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the dollar is the currency of choice in Nigeria. So let's broaden the conversation and let's think hard about how bad things are. And that's why we need to get away from people like Atiku, people like Tinubu, etc. We need to begin to we have a problem, we have a crisis in our hands, and we need to force a structural way of doing things if we are to survive in the new dispensation.
All right. Before we continue, hold on. Paikide, do you still have more time for us?
Because, absolutely. Okay, I am retired. I have nowhere to go.
Okay, good, good.
Otherwise, I'll have to go to Big Lion. And,
all right, good. Yeah. So the other thing I want to ask is there are a lot of people who are trying to get in, but the studio is full. So if you ask your question, please, you can watch stay by either YouTube or Facebook or anywhere and watch it so that new people can come in and ask their questions. Okay, Nibe, before you say anything, Paikide mentioned that public intellectuals like you, I don't think you watched that part. Public intellectuals like you are the people who failed our nation. And I want you to know that before you start your comment.
I also said that I said, and I was hoping he wasn't listening. I also said that he is one of the few that I absolutely respect because he's riding the wave of technology and he's highly regarded. He is stealing all my packets, by the way. Even though I'm better looking.
Yes, I know that controversy is going on.
I was in Oxford and they wouldn't stop talking about him. It was very annoying. But we respect him. He's been very innovative, being a guide by the side of not just young writers, but he understands and respects the value of social media, and by the way he has carried himself, I think he has modeled the appropriate behavior. I actually start respecting myself because I want to sound like him, never pissed off when he really should be pissed off.
All right. So Professor Ndibe, your chance to
all right. Ikeda, you have buttered me up so well. Oh my gosh. All the mean things that I came here to say about you.
Good.
I mean, the only thing I was quite surprised that you were appearing with Rudolph because the last I heard, both of you were supposed to be in jail. I didn't know.
Yes. He especially, he should be in jail.
No, but first of all, the admiration is mutual. I mean, as you know, we call each other twin brothers, and I really admire the things you do. I admire your investment in clarifying not only literary but specifically political matters in Nigeria. And there are great intersections between the two, and I also admire your investment in young people because, as I keep telling them, the conversation is about them ultimately.
Yeah.
We have failed Nigeria. I remember going to Lincoln University to give a talk, only to find out that Bayelsa had, under Seriaki Dixon, had an arrangement where they would bring in students from Bayelsa, and of course, what they did was to bring in the sons and daughters of the same people who are ruining the place in Nigeria. So when it came time to speak to the students, I said to them that your parents have wrecked the country, Nigeria. And I said, you are implicated in what your parents have done, and that the only way you can redeem yourselves is to, as it were, defy your parents, renounce your parents, and then go and become part of the solution ultimately. So I like the way that you connect young people. I like the way that you have the courage of your convictions, both about what you say about Nigerian intellectuals broadly, and specifically about our novelists and so on and so forth. Of course, you know that sometimes we don't agree, but I really, really admire the courage and the clarity with which you speak. Having said that, so my question to you is, I notice more and more that young people don't read anymore. Okay, so a few weeks ago, I did this forum with Rudolph, and I did say that Peter Obi was running the most intellectually exciting campaign, but I also said that Peter Obi tended to overpromise because you know, he talks about, oh, we have this power problem, we have this mono economy, and you know how it's going to be diversified and so on and so forth. And the impression he gives is to young people is, once you elect me, if you elect me, then you're going to have regular uninterrupted power. You're going to have a diversified economy where the textile industry will be revitalized, and you know, we're going to get billions and billions of dollars every year from it. And it's a tall order. You and I know that it's a systemic issue. So even if, and you know, somebody called and said Peter Obi is a saint, I said he's far from one. But even if he were a saint, it's a deeply systemic issue, and I'm happy that you spoke, I think, in response to the Kwankwaso deal, and you did say that you're not interested in personalities, and that's what I said to people. It's not going to be Peter Obi who solves Nigeria's problems. It is the collective will of Nigerians determined to change the system that the things are run. If Peter Obi comes, even if he were determined to change things, but the system remains in place, the culture remains in place, it's going to be the same result. So my question to you really is sort of from my position here, from your position here in the US, from some of us who are in different parts of the world, in different outside of Nigeria. What role can we really play in this conversation to move things in the direction that the country ought to move in? Because I started a podcast recently, and with it, I came reluctantly back to writing a column, which I had written for 18 years. Nigeria gave me a headache every day, so I said, I'm done. So I came back. But what I noticed is that more and more young people don't read. A lot of them just read the headline of my column and they start commenting. Some of them will abuse you, and so on and so forth. So what can we do, those of us who are outside of the country, to advance the kind of
So you're gonna be I'm gonna surprise you by what I'm just gonna say. I think that we must give Mr. Obi credit for elevating the discussion, for forcing the status quo folks to compete from a higher level than ever before. A lot of these people, we are now finding how horribly unprepared they are, because he's forced them to have all kinds of, let's just call it, debates. You know, much of that credit, of course, goes to young people who are on the internet. You just really have to earn their respect. You have on social media, and they've been working hard at that. Well, I think that you're doing the right thing. I think we are doing the right thing by being very supportive of their broad goals and things, and try not to sell ourselves. I have said of Mr. Obi that he really should stop the anecdotes and things, and I should be talking about structural things and talking about policy issues. And you're right, one has to be careful at my age, not be small picking with the cost. So I try to stay away from the insults and stuff. If you say something that they don't like, they just start raining insults at you. But I think that we just have to continue to be cheerleaders of their dreams and stuff. You know, you've got great kids. I've got great kids here. I mean, and they've gone to some of the best schools that the world. But a lot of my friends who are my kids' age, they just happen to be on the wrong side of the railroad tracks. But they're smarter than my kids. If they were here in the US, imagine where they would be. But they are being brutalized and terrorized and traumatized. And I will say to you, as you know, you are very, very popular on social media because they actually read. They just don't read books. you see. And you do this thing that I like, which is you will put a teaser of your essay, and people will say, oh yeah, what, and you have beaten the bullet. But a lot of your peers are not that courageous. They're not doing, I want to encourage them to do this, because these young people are actually reading the equivalent of whole chapters every day. It's just not in books when you think about it. So we just have to go to where they are, just like you're doing, and continue to. They don't read long form. My daughter, who has a law degree, will say, "Daddy, read that to me. What does that mean? It's too long." LOL. I go, you have a law degree. What are you talking about? You should be reading long text, my dear. So, but that's who they are. We come from a generation that was raised on books. Books was our social media, as you know. And so this is their new world. And I tell people, unfortunately in Oxford, I sounded like a broken record, because if you said good morning to me, I would say social media. And people were just avoiding talking to me about it. But I think we are all doing the right thing by being encouraging. And SARS was a heartbreaker for me, because I really saw this, how organized these young people could be, and how they could create an ecosystem that was, crowd funded, and they were doing all of these things. And I'm thinking, man, are these Nigerians? This is awesome. And I think it will happen again. I just don't think you should be discouraged. I just think, I'm available for them. Anything that they want done, I'm happy to. I do think that Mr. Obi should get his running mate to the podium and have him say what he really thinks about gay Nigerians. Should they be executed? Nobody has confronted that. That's just terrible. That we have our greatest hope with a running mate who says that Nigerians who are gay should be murdered. But that's about holding people accountable, regardless.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll plead with okay, if you could hang in with us. And there's a question that some people sent to me on social media here. I will get to that, but I want to give all the other people with us here a chance to ask questions. There's a question about why are you Pa Ikide, and I know that okay try to add Pa to his name, and
right. It's
didn't work out very well. So we'll get to that. But first of all, let me welcome When Bassi, your turn. You can take off your mask, yeah. Unless you're I know you are at work, I believe, yeah. We can't hear you, When. You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying my space was compromised, so that's why I'm wearing a mask today. Can I be heard?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a blessing that I thought Professor K was going to ask my question. He alluded to it and then stopped midway. So I was thankful he did not ask the way I wanted to ask it. Nigerian youths are not reading, and it shows. And Ikire, I know you've said yes, they read equivalent of a chapter a day on social media, and I believe that's a dichotomy created between people who have access to the internet and those who do not. How do we target the people who do not have access to the internet? I mean, every now and then I see a skit of people interviewing youth corpers, and I'm ashamed to even identify that those are Nigerian graduates. It shows that we are not reading. It shows that people are not exchanging pace setters, Hadley Chase, African Writers series like we used to do when we were in school. So how do we get to the people who do not have access to the internet and encourage them to read?
Okay, so all right, people tend to talk about the internet and social media in terms of a deficit. They call it the digital divide. I call it the digital bridge. It was the internet that brought me out of the darkness that was America into light. Because when I left the country in 1982, there was no internet, no smartphones, none of that stuff. No social media, definitely. So in the early 90s, 1991, 93, we began to have access to emails and so on. The rest of it is history. What occurred to me when I would visit Nigeria was how much advanced everybody was using the cell phone in Nigeria compared to here in the States, because it was their infrastructure. You see, it was their banking, it was their roads, it was everything. So it's not as bad as people like to make it. I think that if you're in the bus, for instance, in Nigeria, what are people doing? They're looking at their phone and they're just watching WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the university from hell. They go and send you stuff about, don't eat corned beef because it's Chinese, they're Chinese that are made of it, so that they are reading all the wrong content. But our thinkers are in a different place, writing books and behind paywalls of journals that nobody can afford to. So we need, just think about music. Think about music, how digital it is. All of Fela's music is all on my smartphone. I suspect it's richer now dead than it was. Imagine if they had stopped with the cassette. That's what we're doing with the book. We are insisting on staying with the book, whereas millions of Nigerians are out on social media reading Linda Ikeji. It's a failure of leadership. We have to go meet the readers where they are in creative ways and in ways that ensure that our writers are also paid for their content. There are many ways you could do it, and it's already happening. Subscription is, I would pay for a lot of African writers that I follow for free now because I love their mind, and we're not talking about a whole lot of money. But we're not having those conversations because even when I went to Oxford, the publishers that came were not really interested in innovative ways that didn't include the book as the center of it. So that's the conversation. It's a great question. It's a conversation we need to continue having. And by the way, I sent out a clip of somebody interviewing several Americans about basic questions about, and they were just, they couldn't add. Somebody said, which country is the Queen of England from? They didn't know. It was worse than, if you think the ones in Nigeria were bad, this was bad, So, but I am not mocking them. They're young people. I'm like, and I retired from a public school system after 31 years. I'm like, I failed these young people. That is the difference between America and Nigeria. I won't be blaming them. I will be saying perhaps our teaching methods cost these beautiful people to be who they are.
All right. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you so much. But Wayne, let me just say that people don't know the meaning of BSc or MSc. It's not because they were not reading novels. I mean, if you go through the university, you don't know the meaning of BSc. I saw those videos that you were talking about. It's not because they were not reading books. You should know the degree you are getting. Yeah. Anyway, all right, Brother Ken, welcome. Brother Ken, are you with us? Nah,
if Brother Ken is not available, can I make a comment?
No, you can't. Wait. Get back to you if you hang around. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, he's not. Ruhan, welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Damed.
Okay.
This is my first time being on this platform.
Welcome.
I've been following all the content as much as I could, and it's quite interesting.
Thank you.
Conversations, the questions, the topics being discussed here are very, very important to us, because if we want to grow our nation, we have to discuss about critical issues about our country. If not, it will still be there 100 and 200 years to come, and nothing will be done about it. But basically, what I would like to say here is the population of Nigerian is is exploding, honestly. And the gap between the educated and the non-educated is widening day by day.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's no way we can build a society without educated people. Now, for example, let me take you back to, it's a present situation, what the fracas between ASU and federal government. The government has the money Now, they said they took a loan of 200. They gave a budget of 200 billion for feeding primary school. Feeding 200 billion. So if the government should actually look into education for basic primary, they should spend over 200 billion in infrastructure, facilities, and what have you. But they are not doing it. The real center of the problem is to put the infrastructures in place, the facilities in place, and then the parents will sort for the food. That is one. Now, ASU is demanding for something, not for them personally, but to build the citizenry at a minimum cost. But the federal government is not doing anything. What is our loan now? We have about 40 trillion. 40 trillion. They can't even take 1 trillion for education. Just one. They can't. So can you see the type of leadership we are having in our country? It's just very pathetic. Honestly, very pathetic.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Ikeda, you want to make a comment or respond to that?
Well, so it's hard to disagree with you. I think that our leaders and our intellectuals know the right thing to do. The proof is that if you know where their children are and their spouses are, they're all in systems that work very well, but they are perpetuating colonial systems, and these systems have not changed. In the police, the health and human services, education is particularly tragic. I think we should have a conversation about decentralizing the university system and making sure that the federal government is primarily interested in oversight rather than in running and trying to be an independent arbiter of. And what you said about funding is incredibly important. I retired from the school system, Montgomery County Public Schools, after 31 years. I was chief of staff to the school board, and it was the 14th largest school district in the nation. The operating budget alone is $3 billion. That is 50% of the $6 billion budget of the local government. And it's by law. It cannot be less than 50%. It's just the law. And we pay $16,000 per child, a regular education every year by law. If the child has special education needs, we pay a lot more than that. A society tells you what it thinks of itself by how much it invests in public education, and we need to begin to go to that route. But you see, the problem that we have is Nigeria's government is top down. You know, Buhari is everything, and if it's a strong man with good intentions, you're fine. If it's a strong man with weak intentions, you're in trouble. ASU has not been very helpful, to be quite honest. You know, they've not been very visionary in forcing the kinds of changes that I'm talking about. You know, when I left the University of Benin in 1979, it was this. When I got into the University of Benin in 1976, it was the 6th university in Nigeria. They were all patterned after the colonialists who set up horrid systems and left. If you look at Nigeria and you look at South Africa, the systems that the people of apartheid, the apartheid tormentors left behind were permanent structures, beautiful roads, because they wanted to stay. They came to stay. Our colonialists came to loot and leave. So they set up horrid systems, and those are the systems that we are still using today. And we must take down all of those structures, and I mean that respectfully, and build stuff that works. I will say finally, if you ever read Achebe's book, what's this? A Man of the People. A Man of the People was released, I guess, on the eve of the coup. The coup plotters executed the leaders for 1 millionth of what is happening today. These politicians are getting away with murder, and it's a problem.
All right. Thank you. Brother Ken, can you hear me? Brother Ken.
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I've muted myself. You
Yeah,
can hear me. Okay. Please, I have to digress a little. I have to go out from this one. Because in the beginning, like the Bible said, somebody asked my brother, Aide, about. I said he should. He said somebody asked to show proof. So we campaigned for Buhari. I have at least 3 videos to show Showore campaigned vigorously for Buhari. I have tried to send 1 or 2 on this platform, but it's not going. It's like bouncing back. So I wanted the person to go and watch it so that he will see Showore doing it. Because he have said it again and again that he never did, but he's lying. I wanted to show it so that, I never wanted to show these videos, but let me just show it so that the person will confirm what is, So I don't know.
Thank
I
you.
am sorry, I have to go off this thing. Sorry. All right.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Omori, hold on.
Yeah, please, before he leaves, enough of this blackmail. Can you send it? Can I have a copy of the video, please? I will pay. I don't mind paying for them. Stop blackmailing Showore. Stop blackmailing Showore.
Listen. Okay, wait. Listen to me. Let me give you. Let me give you one link. Let me give you one link.
All right.
Okay, send me your number.
Brother Ken.
But
okay.
I can give you a link here.
Yeah, we'll have to get Brother Ken out. Brother Ken, if you're watching, you can also send it to me on email it to drdamages@gmail.com. I will look at it, and if I can play it before the end of this show, I'll play the video for you. All right. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
You are muted, I think.
Okay, you're muted. Yeah. And Ikeda just praised you for being technologically savvy, and
it's village people.
You're not to start. All right.
Village people are honestly.
The abuse that you give me privately is enough. Don't make it public. Don't go public with it. So, I'm sorry your mama trained you better than this. Right?
Yes.
He just
behave.
When he was saying that, I was just thinking, are you aware of? Anyway, let me just
behave like I did. I have a guest that I have to drive to the train station for.
Can we see him? I wanted to talk to him because we were talking about publishing. And
well, you have to speak with him later. He's getting ready,
But let me just come out with just one question, because Ikeda mentioned something very important, that books are expensive. He's a publisher in Nigeria. Let's hear him. Why are they expensive?
Bank. You have a moment. They want to see you.
Yeah. Why? What are we going to do? What's the solution?
So he's getting okay. Ikeda mentioned something about publishing. So the Rudolph wants to ask you a quick question.
No, my brother, no.
Huh? Okay. So he says he's packing up a bunch of things. So and he's running late. So,
all right.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So some other time. So okay. So Ikeda.
Yeah.
So make we talk later now about the money from Oxford.
Yes, of course.
Oh yeah.
All the money. Keep the plaque.
My wife believes I got $100,000 and is talking to our lawyers. So I have a marital problem.
No, just tell her you've given it to me to invest.
Yeah, you should.
Okay. Yeah, and tell her it's only 100,000. Then
yes,
yeah,
I have
then
to pay taxes to you.
Yeah. Okay, guys, such a delightful conversation. I wish I could stay on, but I have to drive somebody to the train station. So such a delight. Let's keep it going. Rudolph, you're doing a great job, but stop being troublesome. Okay,
I agree.
Behave yourself. All right,
take it easy.
My brother will talk.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I know that Vin came back. He has additional question, but before then, Ikeda, someone sent me this message for you, a question. He said, what is the problem you have, the issue you have with Chris Abani? Can you address that? I'm not sure what it was, but it's from Ademola.
That's, I don't have a personal problem with him. People tend to personalize disagreements. Chris Abani was part of the conversation about, how not to write about Africa, or how to write about Africa, in terms of the historical context. I think that he's a gifted writer, but at some point, he would mistake fiction for the truth. And many of us, we were all part of a mailing list. I think it was Creativity, and he made certain statements that he was at Kirikiri when something happened, and it turned out not correct. And I haven't been following him much, but there were so many things that he would say that were just not correct. And but I'm past that. I don't have a personal issue. I made my point, and I am happy to say that some of my views have influenced the way we look at narrative, the way we write narrative today, and that's plenty for me.
All right, thank you, Vin. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I am sorry to come back again, and I would like to address my elder brother. My question still goes to the Constitution of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Sir, you know that a nation is made and unmade through the foundation they operate with.
Yeah.
Good. I was in the corridors of power when the 1999 Constitution was formulated. In active service, I was a military officer then, a warrant officer second class.
Yeah.
And I was there also 1999 when that particular Constitution was handed over to Obasanjo.
Yeah.
And you know quite well, sir, that Constitution is tilted, carefully designed to satisfy the interests of a particular ethnic group in Nigeria. Hence, the problem we're having today in Nigeria. In your capacity, sir, what are you going to do that Nigerians will have a sigh of relief away from that demonic military decree called Constitution that has kept them retrogressing while others, like my own country here, Ghana, is progressing? Thank you, sir.
Well, I mean, you've said all the right things. I'm not sure what one person can do. That's been my point with the Peter Obi phenomenon. We have to say, well, this is nice. What are you going to do? I mean, the question should really be directed at, those who want to be president. What are you going to do to ensure that this constitution is scrubbed and a fairer one is put in its place? There was a constitution review committee many years ago. I think it was Goodluck Jonathan that and nothing, they had a report, nothing came of it. We spent hundreds of millions of dollars, not just naira, trying to get, and it's sitting on the shelf somewhere. But young people are basically fed up, and I think that the only way we could probably satisfy them in the long run is to take a look at the Constitution and to take a look at the structural ways that they are being hurt every day. But I agree with you.
All right. Thank you so much. We've done 2 hours. I know that our guest is, even though he's retired, and but let me give CM one more chance. Femi, just okay. You've been here before. CM, one more chance, one more question.
Yeah, and I have a hard stop because I just came back from London, so I need to. Madam, send me a message.
So we round up. So
yeah,
CM, one question.
Okay. Paikide, my question this time may be a bit personal, sort of, but if given what you are, what you represent, and somebody recommends you to P2B, even if it's an adversarial position, would you think you'll accept an offer to help rescue Nigeria at any point in time? Would you?
Absolutely. Why not? I do think that so I was part of the pro-democracy struggle. I was on Radio Kudera. I met all of these politicians, as a young, young warrior. We put our lives on hold. Did a lot of
sorry, sir. Damages. If you look at my back, you will see my cows coming in. They are entering into my improvised ranch. There are well over 168 of them. Nobody is killed. Nobody is killed. These are my cattle coming in. If you look at them behind me, they are just coming into my improvised ranch. There are 168 of them.
Congratulations. That's impressive.
Please, Maxwell, can I have your number? Maxwell, can I have your number, please?
Nobody is killed. No blood is wasted. They are not roaming anywhere. This is the reason why Nigerians are being killed today in Nigeria. People's land are being taken over. These are them. They are coming over. Look at them. They're just coming over behind me.
That's impressive. Can I have your number also?
Just one moment. Can I have your number, Maxwell? Can I have your number, Maxwell?
I will send it. I will send it to Rudolph.
Please.
I will send it to Rudolph. Look at them.
All right.
They're just coming.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so
and they are very.
I have to run.
Yeah, he has to go. Our guest has to go. Thank you so much, Maxwell. Okay. Pakide.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know if you we want to finish this question, CM question, or we are going.
So let's see. I think that so in 1999, when my colleagues started going back to be part of the system, I elected to stay behind because I always thought that we needed to have an independent group holding people accountable. And I think that if I've made any difference, is because I have elected to talk from outside of the system, and that's what I'm more comfortable with. But if somebody was to say, you worked in education for 31 years, I think it would be helpful for you to come. I'm happy to. You've worked in municipal government. When I retired in 2018, I became chief of staff to a council member, and I've done that for 4 years now. And the operating budget of the county is $6 billion. So we're just part of a team running a $6 billion operating budget. The capital budget is even more than that. It's a lot of money. It's a wealthy conclave, and so at some point, I would like to really retire and just chill with Big Lion, my lion, and Frankie the monkey. But yeah, I'm happy to help. But the day will not come when I will work for people like Atiku, Tinubu, Buhari. That's not going to happen, because I think that they shouldn't be in the halls of power.
Thank you so much, Paikide, for joining us and spending this time with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, and
welcome, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right. So the rest of the gang, if you want to hang around for another 30 minutes, we will hang around and review what we just had today. Okay. But let's let me do this. All right, so this is after show when we talk about a review of what we had. Maury, so what is your...
Thank you, Doctor, for having me. Thank you for your good job, and I pray everybody will, emulate the good job you are doing. Thank you for making yourself available, making yourself a vocal voice for the voiceless Nigerians. I wasn't opportunity to start the show from the beginning, so I was very late. So immediately I came in, that was when you started asking questions. You could see that I was fumbling with my question. I didn't really start the show from the beginning, It was a good time, I just benefited from his wealth of experience and all that. So the guy that was raising issue about Shawiri, enough of this blackmail. We're in another platform yesterday. They made one allegation. They were showing videos quite different from what they are saying. Enough of this blackmail. The guy Shawiri has suffered a lot. If you don't want to vote for him, it's not by force. Let him have his peace. He has lost almost everything. For the past 4 years, he has not seen his family. He lost his brother. The junta, the same junta you said Shogure is working for, they give him a tear gas for breakfast. They give him hacker for lunch. They give him detention for dinner. So you end up saying, if he's not working for Tinubu, he's working for Atiku, he's working for Buhari. Enough of this nonsense. And think of where your problem is. Shogure is not your problem. Thank you, doctor, for having me today. It was a wonderful show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. CM, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah. Actually, it's been I think, what was the question? Let me remember.
I'm just, we're doing review of what we
okay,
just
had,
the
review of, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. On a personal basis, I'm quite happy to meet Paikide, because we've been exchanging. I read him a lot on Facebook anyway, because he's somehow funny. Sometimes we take on in debate. They had a crossfire. We go and be reading, see what they are doing, or Maximo Zato, or even you, Rudolph. So it was a good. And then some time ago, like I made him to know, he wanted to give out books. So when I applied, I said, look, I need them. I can pay for their this. He said, I've already given it out. Next time I will give it to you. So that will be over 2 years now. So this is an opportunity for me to remind him that I'm still number one on the queue, and he agreed. So I will send him a note on Facebook just to hear what he's saying. You see, what I've gathered today is that nobody is happy with the situation in Nigeria. Nobody abroad, because when you hear him say what he did in the field, I mean the position he held in education, I think in the state of Maryland or so, and I read a bit about him now. He had quite a lot of experience. Somebody like this could be handed over public library or education system, or even made minister for education. No matter what, he knows what to do to bring back the reading culture, because he's at pains that people no longer read. I think it was Wembasi who was saying when we exchange Paysetters, Mills and Boons, African Writer Series, James Hadley Chase. In those days, you say, yes, I quite agree, because I read Things Fall Apart at class 2. Even when it wasn't, I'm a science student, but I read all the Shakespeare's, Julius Caesar, Merchant of Venice, 12th Night, As You Like. I can give you quotation from Macbeth, even because I didn't do literature in school, so that reading culture, I think somebody like this could bring it back. That's why I asked him a closing question, that if somebody recommends him in future by anywhere, is he willing to live the cozy American life and then come back and then, start to tolerate these politicians and any other, just to revive that reading culture, because that is the key to everything. And he agreed. So I'm quite happy I met him, and then he will take the decision on board in case it happens. I'm quite happy.
Right. Thank you.
And let me butt in. I actually wanted to, because when COVID hit the United States, a lot of local governments made the internet providers commit to providing free internet to school districts. I think that's what we really need in Nigeria right now. The phone companies to provide, even if it's limited, where students can have access, by registering. Because we built, e-library in Uyo by Akpabio, and it's just a building today. That investment could have been providing maybe how many internet towers in Uyo municipality, or spread around Akwa Ibom State, that could give these young people access to materials to read. Yes, I agree that we've moved on with time. Mills and Bones and Paysetters, maybe not available now, but whatever form we can let our young people read, not just knowing what DSE is. I mean, sometimes formulation of grammar in some of these interviews, and I mean, is pathetic.
All right, that's very, very good of you. And then let's see. Vin, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Dr. Damages.
We were actually impressed by your cattle and
In Afulani.
No wonder you are hiding. You are hiding in.
I am.
In.
Dr. Damages, you are doing a lot of damages. So I hope you will be ready to repair them when the time comes.
Wow, you didn't tell us. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm.
From Ghana.
He's from Ghana, upper region. What do you expect? That's what they do there. Come.
Oh, yeah, why? You see me, this is a business I inherited from my father. I have the blood of Biafrans running inside me. And when I came in here, I employed people, two Nigerians. Two Nigerians are taking care of those cattle. Nobody is killed. They are in the ranch, feeding fat. Nobody is using them to come and take over your land. Nigeria, they are using cattle in pretense to take over your land, enter into your land, collect it, and change the demography. And when your people, once they take over that place, your people can no longer pass there. Once they enter there, they will kill them. That place doesn't belong to them. See, mine is in my own ranch. I don't feed the grass is there. I use bulldozer, bulldoze the whole place, plant the grass they eat, and they feed in there. If I just want them to take a walk, then the people will not take them. They will now move around the place, then come back again. And they are very, very healthier, bigger than those ones that are roaming the street in Nigeria, causing nuisance. Dr. Damages, this is a very good platform. You are really sensitizing people, bringing people with knowledge, intelligentious people, intellectuals to come and pass, set the record straight. I would like Nigerians, wherever you are. I lived in Nigeria for almost 32 years. My mom is an Igbo woman. So I know much about, and I served in the military for 18 years. I know much about Nigeria. And nobody will still tell me anything about Nigeria. I just want you people to concentrate. If you know that which is right for you to do, my brother, do it. UK, US, European nations, Schengen countries, where most of us are living today, sending monies, remittances back home will not come and help you. It is you that is going to help your country. Right here in Ghana, as small as we are, we have close to 7,000 megawatts, and they are planning to improve it to 15,000 megawatts now, irrespective of the hardship we have in Ghana. But in Nigeria, it is just only 4,000 megawatts, and that 4,000 megawatts installed capacity cannot be distributed. You see, these are some of the things you have. You cannot develop your country without electricity. Electricity is the key ingredient. If you know what is right for you, my brothers and sisters, do it. Once you get it right, then the rest of the African countries will follow suit. Thank you. And God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Omori, you wanted to say something, Omori? People may soon start their own cartoon.
Yeah, briefly, sir. Briefly, sir.
Go ahead, Omori.
Not cartoon. You have said a lot. You guys made a lot of sense as for the cattle ranching and the killings. I'm happy that Brother Ken is back. Please, bro, if it is the only thing I achieved today, this castigation, deliberate attempt to malign the person of Showere, calculated attempt to assassinate his character, we should begin to put an end to this divide and rule tactics. If you don't get it, the thing working against you is the seed of divide and rule they have planted against you. So, don't see Showere as your enemy. Can you please make these videos available? And if the videos are false, I'm not going to be happy with you. And for you and your coach,
I have sent it. Wait a moment. It is Showere himself that posted it. The Sahara TV. Sahara TV. Sahara TV, 2015.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So, now I've sent the link on the chat room. I've sent it on the chat room.
Right. It's the right to support anybody. So what is the crime in supporting Buhari?
It is.
What is the crime there?
Why is he not telling lies? not why is he telling lies that we show
the same way he revealed the corruption in Jonathan. That is the same way he's fighting Buhari today. So enough of this blackmail and falsehood.
Let him own up. He should own up and stop that lying about it. Or is it the grandson of Lai Mohammed?
Okay,
guys. He has not committed any crime.
Okay, guys.
Give me a number. I send you three videos where is campaigning. 3 videos.
My number there.
Send
it to my number. It's in the private chat.
All right.
I am out. I am out. Okay, I'm out now.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me respond to Mr. Omori and the other guy, I think is a nurse or a doctor, who talk about how government have failed to even build e-library. They don't improve in our schools. These are not news anymore. These are what I would say every 5 Nigerian girls will know what is wrong with the education system or how it can be improved. But we still keep believing on government will do it, knowing that they will not do it. Now, I don't even know much about the background of our guest, but from what little I just heard from the platform now, that he has had a big educational system in Maryland. But with that kind of position, come with a lot of connection and a lot of influence. And being somebody in the literary world too is very well connected. What has he done? What move has he made to make sure even implement something privately in Nigeria and make money? Because I haven't figured out that the government system is not for us, against us. Isn't that time we put our criticism into action and do it little by little? Go build electronic or email library in your village, no matter how little it is, and stop complaining about government will do this. Do it little before you know somebody else will see you do it. When you have that kind of influence, to me, that is what it's about. But we choose to actually point out the years of government as if we are not part of the problem. It's an elite. Even though he admits that, yes, their generation has failed us, but it's never too late. If you occupy such a big position with all your influence, you could not able to even replicate little of that kind of library or have a park in your village and have book, just 1, 2, 3, 4 back to station. I mean, Dr. Damage, you know how it's been done in New York or every part of America. You don't need to wait for government to come to your Buhari don't need to know your village. That's a fact. Not even by any president, but do it at your own level, small. I have tried that part before, so I know what I'm talking about. Then, Mr. Omori, with due respect, I mean, Shogore don't go jail, don't do this, don't do this. Are we supposed to be kind of a sympathizing with him or something? You are vying for the #1 position of that country. And with due respect to him, there's no way you can insult your way to power. He was not in jail for not doing anything. At the point, he was constituting museums. And he knows this. Now, the consequences of you looking for that kind of office be that. It's not going to be easy. Let me finish. It's not going to be easy for you to become president of Nigeria. I don't care who you are. Those are the consequences of the road you have to fly. So I'm not supposed to defeat him. He's going, once he get there, every story become nothing. You are going there to be in charge of about 16 to 20 trillion naira every year as your budget. You think they will just kind of give you like that? No, it's part of the road he has to follow. So not because you don't do too much. Excuse me. Once you put yourself in the public, especially when we are vying for that kind of position, be ready for anything. I'm not going to sympathize with you. So not to say we know everybody they go harm in plane. They will be sure worry. It's part of the system at this point. It's an elite, whether I like it or not.
Okay. Thank you, Obie.
Criticize.
Thank you, Obie. All right. Omori will respond before I go to Joseph. I want to hear him.
Yeah, I'm not against constructive criticism. When any system without criticism or opposition is bound to be tyrannical, and that is what we preach against. That is what Shogore has been fighting against since 1991. I've known Shogore for more than 3 decades. But then what we don't want is deliberate attempt to assassinate another person's character. Deliberate falsehood. Deliberate attempt to just lie on somebody. Enough of these lies. Shogore is not your problem. Look elsewhere for your problem. until we begin to get it right. This was the reason why we didn't support Jennifer Wayne. This is the same reason why Falana contested. He couldn't make any headway. This is the reason why Chorwele is not going anywhere. We worship our oppressors, we worship our dictators, and we're expecting a miracle to happen. It's not going to happen. We must come together and see our enemy the way they are and be united as a people if we must move forward. This is my submission. I'm not against criticism. If you must criticize, be objective, be constructive, and be truthful to your conscience. Thank you, Doctor.
All right, thank you, Omori. Let me Rohan, I can see you. I know I have not come to you. I'll come to you. But let me hear Joseph. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Joseph, are you driving?
Yes, sir.
We're not responsible for anyone driving and talking to us. We don't encourage that. All right. So what is your comment?
Yeah, I just think personally, the issues we've got in Nigeria, right? I know a lot of people have said this in time past. It's more like systemic. And I think before we actually begin to see real change, even though we need a good head, I think we all have to hold all tiers of government responsible. I mean, even down to local government, chairman, councillors and stuff. We need to start holding them responsible. I can remember when I first got to the United States and I saw how long it takes, like the roads you have in the city, how long it takes for them to do repairs and stuff like that. And I was like, wow. In Nigeria, a lot of times, at least I can say of Lagos, while I was living in Lagos, and there were times when you have, 2-kilometer stretch of road takes years for it to be repaired. And once the repair is completed in another few years, it's gone bad again. And here it's almost like I see the city's mayor doing more than even the governor does back home. So I think that's where it starts until we start actually taking everybody, holding everybody to account. Whether you're a councillor, you're a senator, you're a governor, I think that's when we'll really begin to see the real change. Because more than we know, some of these people actually embezzle even more than those at the top. Because they're not responsible for anything, or they're not being held accountable for anything. So I just think even though it's important to know who the tip of the spear is, or to have the right person there to where the system can be kind of changed. I think we the people too have to start getting to the point where we hold people accountable. If someone becomes my local government chairman, I'm proud to be in a local government chairman. There's something he's doing right as a job or whatever that is catering for his needs. Then he becomes a local government chairman. In the space of 2 years, he's building 5 houses for himself, and we don't have good roads, and we don't have viable water, and our local schools are not doing well. Then we should question them. That's just my little take.
Thank you, Joseph. You have a good point. I appreciate that. Rohan, you want to say something? Rohan, you want to say something? No? All right. Faith, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Mr. Damage. I'm calling in from London. I've not been following the program since the start of this program, but what I really want to say is that I begin to notice something about we Nigerians, or so to say, the name of Omoyele Sowore. I think if they really want good things about Nigeria or good things to happen in Nigeria, why not him kind of join force with Obi? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Why not him join force with Obi to be able to change this game around? Because now, as it is, him does not have the same phenomenon, the same tsunami that's going on with Obi right now as it was during his own time. Obi has more population behind him now, more support behind him now. Why not him join force with him? At least at the end of the day, they are looking for the same thing. If truly they were looking to make Nigeria become great.
Okay. I'm sure some of his supporters are here. Let me get them to respond. Omori, go ahead. Omori, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's obvious that we are clamoring and yearning for a change. The change is not overdue. But then, on matters of principle, some people are solid as Olomo Rock. Some people see Yowore as cocky, some see him as arrogant, some see him as selfish. Whatever name you call him, you are more guilty of what you are accusing Yowore of. After all the sacrifice he has made, you want him to. Yowore is the only organic politician among them. He's the only one among them that has his own party. You want him to abandon his own party, destroy his own house, and join Obi the tenant. This was the same way they accused Yowore in 2019. When the likes of Durotoye and Co. came for they wanted to set Yowore up by saying they wanted an alliance. So when he went for a meeting, he's a sharp man. He discovered that they were not serious, were not genuine. Where are those people today? Where are they and their parties today? So where among those people, he's the only one standing, just like Malema did in South Africa. Obi, Showore has nothing against Obi. It's a matter of ideological differences. What you are trying to say is like, I should abandon my girlfriend I met at the restaurant, at the club, for my wife of 10 years, maybe because she has not given birth to a child. Another analogy is like telling Donald Trump in 2008 to collapse his structure to come and join Barack Obama. They are not, see, Showore does not see in Obi what you see in Obi. Showore wants our lookers to be in jail. They want us to at least use them as examples, to act as a deterrent to potential criminals. So they don't have Showore is not comfortable with where Obi is coming from. Obi might be a very nice guy, but he belongs to a very notorious political family. Showore does not roll that way. So ideological differences does not mean hatred for Obi. Me personally, I would love to see a Showore revolutionary-minded person working with Obi to handle the economic aspect of Nigeria. But the way Obi is making some more chances, most of us are not comfortable with it. Coming to public forum to call Atiku my leader, even if he wins tomorrow, Atiku remains his leader. He was asked, how are you going to do about our loot? He said, we will forget. God put eyes in our front so that we can look forward, which means we should forget about the loot. Why are they still bringing Abacha's loot today? See, leave Showore alone. If you don't want to support him, let him to do what he believes in. You cannot force somebody to chop poison because he's hungry. Because he wants to be the president, I cannot be hungry. Instead of giving me salary, you're giving me a tapia. It's not going to work. I'm not going to eat. That is who Showore is. Thank you very much, Dr. Damages.
All right, thank you. Ovia, go ahead.
Dr. Damages, it's funny that you say it's funny that supporters are accusing Obi for talking anyhow. Okay? Talk some kind of utterances. What is the difference between them in terms of talking anyhow? But wait, to answer your question directly, it is not this political class, this elite, including Showore, has never made it about me and you, even though they will ride on me and you to get to where they are going. This political class is about self-interest. It has nothing to do with me and you. That is why me and you have to find a common ground for me and you to come together and produce our own president. This has been true. Look at me, Omori is using the fact that Showore has a party. And that actually supports my point that I've been saying for years, that political parties are business entities. They are privately owned by individuals for just two purposes: to grab power or to stop bill or make bill. That's all it's about. It has nothing to do with me and you. So the earlier the average Nigerian understand that this people is all about self-interest, the better for us.
All right.
Nobody interrupt you now. Nobody interrupt you. All this what they talk about, Obi is part of they are at best, they are all politicians. They just have different way of coming into the circle. That's it. That's nothing to do with me and you.
All right.
So they don't care.
Thank you, Ovia.
Thank you.
Vin. Yeah,
thank you.
Vin, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Damages. You see, the question we should be asking ourselves right now is this: Nigerians, what do you want? Do you want P2B? Do you want Atiku? Do you want Tinubu? Looking at all their antecedents and their past records, who the cat cap fits like they were singing when my late CNC was there. Who the cap fits, let him wear it. Who the cap fits? A man with reputable past, a man with records, a man with impeccable, character, competence should be your watchword. Not people that will come and begin to tell you stories. You see, where my mother come from, there is an adage, a proverb they normally say. It is from the eye of an elder that they will use to see the goat that would deliver 2 kids. Okay? So this is what arguing here, bantering each other does not make any difference. What Nigerians need is not this. Nigerians need electricity. Nigeria needs water supplied by the government. Nigeria needs good roads. Nigeria needs good hospitals as it is obtainable in other places, even around the African countries. Why is Nigerians lagging behind? Why are we not talking about those? Why is it that when we come out on the social media, we begin to castigate each other? What political background has Sowore? What is the population that is following him? I am not against anybody, but you know what you want. Nobody is going to do it for you. The ones that have ruled you before and promised you restructuring and all whatnot, what did they do? What did they do to you? Look for the person that is going to deliver to you. What you enjoy in diaspora, I want the same thing to happen in Nigeria. So that when we come to Nigeria, most of us that have families and relatives in Nigeria will come in there, without looking anybody behind us, without thinking of who is going to catch us or who is going to kill us. Please come together, fashion a suitable means of selecting who is going to lead you. It is not coming out here to begin to throw words around. The people are watching. If you look at here where I'm saying, there are people, Ghanaians, looking at me while I'm just talking. I bless you, people. God bless you, my people, my uncles and aunties that are watching. May God bless you and protect all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Vin. Thank you so much. We have to round up. I really appreciate everybody's time. I know that Rohan, you wanted to say something? Okay, go ahead. Okay, Rohan, go ahead. Make it brief. We can't hear you. Okay, Prince.
You are muted. You are muted. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Dr. Damages. I actually came towards the end of our Pa Ikedia. I listened to him very well. He has a lot of wealth of experience with him. But Nigeria, I've said it before, is a complex country with multifaceted problems. And if we want to address that problem or problems, we need to come from different angles. Because the state in which Nigeria is now, you guys know more better than I do. But however, one basic thing is there, and which is the mindset of the younger generations. For example, we have an issue here within ourselves, deliberating here, discussing. We can't resolve those issues. What about the younger ones? How can they take decisions? That is already a problem. Now, the mindset of most of us need to be looked into, need to be worked upon. At least, for example, each and every one of us can now groom 1, 2, or 3 people, set a track of how they could improve the way they think, the way they make decisions, the way they do things. Because if you don't do it individually, the federal government cannot do it. And the federal government is looking at it from a different perspective. Because they are looking at it from the perspective of the rulers. How they are going to sustain their tenure or their their time in power. And then whatsoever the masses have, so be it, because they have to deliver to their mentors also. Like somebody said here that they call it the Commonwealth and what have you. Up till date, we are still subservient to them. You cannot rule out that fact. There is a way and pattern chain in which we pay back to them up till this moment because we are still subservient to them. So, and it's going to be very difficult to break that chain because if you want to break it, they have cartels within the country and also out of the country that help them run most of these things. And because they cannot do it alone.
All right.
That is
Thank you.
That's that for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Prince, last word. Go ahead.
Okay. I've been listening to the program. Your program have been educative and informative. I've not heard of him for the first time. Your guest, and someone like him is someone that can contribute a lot to Nigeria. Someone was saying that Ovie was saying, why is it that the man have not invested even in his village? You know, sometimes people want to look at the sincerity of government on ground before you invest. Some people stay that way. Even investors look at the body language, what the government, how corrupt the government is. They look at the image of that particular government before they invest. Nobody will look at a government like Nigeria where there is killing. You'll be hearing of billions of naira being stolen. Sometimes people will not want to come and invest in such countries. And about political parties, everybody, both the good, the bad, the corrupt, the old, will belong to a political party. The political party houses everybody. And we cannot say a political party, everybody in a political party is corrupt. There are people in APC that will still give good governance. There are people in PDP that will still give good governance. Even in every other political party, we still have corrupt people. Even in Labour Party, there is still corrupt people. So I think we should hold people accountable. Personally, I watched Peter Obi's interview. I'm not fanatical about him. Like Ovie said, they are all politicians, but there are some politicians will be still more better than the other. I just believe when we want to defend these politicians, we should not be too fanatical because we are not them. We can't predict what they will do when they get into power. So the way we defend them, like I think we are too fanatical. In fact, they must do it. We know them so well, like we can even swear for them. Is somehow, and I think that Peter Obi have not come out any day. I've not watched his interview where Peter Obi ever mentioned Sowore before. He have never criticized him. And if you are coming out as a presidential candidate, you are now a public figure. People will discuss about you. People will criticize you, and you will have to take it. Going to jail or being in prison or beaten is not one of the requirements for you to be a president. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We have to leave it at this, otherwise we will continue. But let me play this video for you.
It will be wrong of me to leave this mic without saying to Britain and everybody else who care, we do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen goods on her head. We have nothing to do with the Queen.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you will join again. Next Sunday, we'll bring an interesting guest. If you have time and you want to join Adiola, he's interviewing at 3 p.m. the SDP presidential candidate. Some of you may not know his name, but he's yeah. So if you have time, you can join that interview. And
wait, on this platform, it's coming on this platform.
No, Adiola's platform. Adiola.
Oh, okay.
You can go to
Adiola is a clown.
All right. See you guys next week. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, doctor.